Maybe having your closest counterpart that sees you, knows you, and watches you, for you to first start by going, what are my patterns? What are my lifestyle patterns that I've always done because I've always done? Mm-hmm. And then ask yourself, do these lead to me loving Jesus more, having more peace, being more fruitful, and having life to the full? What do we say, family? Welcome to Simplexity, a little podcast where we take seemingly complex matters and attempt to make them plain and simple. My name is Sammy Foster, and this is season number 10.
It's a big
joined
one.
with the one and only Boots.
Hello, everyone, and hello to you.
Great to see you again.
You too.
I haven't seen you in how long?
Well, we have seen each other
Yes,
in
we have.
5 months, but we haven't seen each other.
Months. That's crazy.
It's a long break.
We didn't anticipate that, did we, Beck?
No, not at all.
No, just kept hitting the snooze button on the season.
We thought a month.
Yeah, we thought a month. Then it went to 2. We wound up at 5.
Look at the beautiful set.
The set is incredible.
A lot has changed.
Yes, it has. We've got a little more refined.
Can you tell? I feel like it accentuates my awkward seating position a little bit, though.
Well, you're
you
gonna
can
have
see
to
my
get used to
scoliosis
these.
on full display.
Do you have scoliosis?
I do.
You never told us that before.
Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, he has. Oh. Sorry.
No, Becca did. Becca, you and the team, correct, put all this set together, and it is. I walked in here and I was like, this is incredible.
It is incredible.
You should, and you watching or listening, well, if you're listening, you can't see it. But if
Yeah.
you're watching, you should see these gigantic lights that we have. It's quite impressive. I feel like
Keeps
I'm
us
in a
tan.
snow globe.
Keeps us tan year round.
Yeah, that's what you're thinking about.
That's all I'm thinking about. But I will say the team did absolutely kill it when it came to new set design, and we definitely upgraded.
Agreed. Goodbye, greenery.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah, that was so yesteryear. 1990s.
Yeah. So what'd you do? Anything eventful over the past 5 months?
I did. Oh, I did a lot.
Yeah.
We don't have time to go into all the things that I did, but I did things.
Highlight.
I finished a book.
Yeah,
Finished a
another book.
Okay.
Yes, coming out, debuting that at the turn of the year for our 21 days of prayer and fasting. Super excited about that. Actually, Boots, I'm debuting it as a sneak peek for a little department head retreat.
Oh.
I shouldn't have said that
No, it's okay.
because it was going to be a surprise. Don't tell anybody I said
I
that.
think that's already on like the. I thought I saw that like on the itinerary.
Oh.
Or something. I saw it somewhere.
No, you didn't.
Maybe I was just snooping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe I was just in Becca's office,
probably.
unsupervised.
So I finished the book, celebrated 25 years of marriage.
Oh, my
Come on.
goodness.
We had
That's
our
right.
big 2-5 anniversary this summer. That was fantastic. Took Asher to University of Maryland. He is now officially an on-campus college student.
Whoop, whoop.
He's a
2-year.
Terp.
He's a Terp. Terp going to opening day. When is opening day for Terps football? October the 4th. Shout out to the Terps. What else? Whole bunch of other things. What'd you do?
I went on my honeymoon.
That's right. That's right. And then you went to Greece.
That was the honeymoon.
Oh. No, but it wasn't immediately following the wedding.
Yeah. So this was like the delayed honeymoon.
Right, okay. Oh, yeah, we already
we
talked
already
about
talked
the wedding
about the
last season.
Do you know who I
Yeah.
am? Yeah, I did that. That was a lot of fun. You've heard some of the stories.
Yeah. It didn't sound like it was that fun.
Well, it was. What you're referencing is Hannah and I both got food poisoning, which is quite awful to happen in a foreign country
I bet, man.
where you
The
can't
worst.
readily drink the water or anything like that.
Totally.
So,
Not to sound like an American snob, however, I will say it is only when you leave the country that you realize the incredible amenities, healthcare system, paved roads, thoroughfare.
Yes, I agree. I came back far more patriotic than I left.
Come on.
And I was already pretty patriotic.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preached a sermon in July.
Yes, you did.
Right.
Crush that.
You were conveniently gone that day. Just play a little defense on that one. Let's see, what
But
else?
I did listen to it, and I thought that it was fantastic.
Oh, thank
I
you.
did tell you that, didn't I?
Yeah. No, you called me right a couple days before.
That's right.
And gave a very encouraging message to me, which was very needed at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're having a
'Cause
little
I
bit of a meltdown, weren't you?
I was just like, I was going over my notes here at the church, and I'm just going over it. And I'm in my head, and I'm starting to spiral at this point. And I get a call, and it says Pastor Sammy, and I'm like, this ought to be good. Pick up.
This
I'm
could
like,
go. This could go a million ways.
I know, and I think I said because I had talked to Miss Vic, your mom, like earlier that day, and she was trying to coach me up a little bit. And I said, the first thing I said to you, I was like, "Did your mom tell you?" And you're like, "What?" And I was
Right.
like, "That I'm freaking out over here."
Oh, that
But
was
yeah,
very
no,
timely then.
It was.
Oh,
It was very
you
timely.
didn't let me know that.
Well.
Well,
Well, because yeah,
okay. Right. What else?
I'm letting you know now.
Okay. Well,
Just like you're letting me know now that you thought it was fantastic.
Yes. Right.
Okay, so what's to come before we get into today's topic? We're doing, obviously we have the new set here, but I feel like we're taking a little bit of a strategic shift to the season.
Yes.
What would you like to unpack that at all?
We're taking simplicity on the road. That's what we're doing. So it's not always going to be this set. However, if you're just a listener, I would encourage you just YouTube it real fast
Make the jump
so
sometimes.
that you see the set and you see how handsome Boots is. One. Two, it's not always going to be in studio. Actually, we're going to go to various spaces and places, and we're going to do interviews on site, off site rather. And I'm going to just let the suspense build because we're not going to tip our hand to who it is we're going to
of course
interview.
not.
But it's a wide array. It's not very many, but they're going to be real barn burners.
I said that phrase like one time 3 days ago, and we just keep repeating.
Totally.
It's going to be a barn burner of a season, I'll tell you that much. Now, I'm looking forward to going to the home turf of some of the guests.
Absolutely.
gonna be cool.
Absolutely. We got a mobile rig O'Connor and Eric have set up. It's incredible. So I say we get a tour bus too. Simplexity written down the side.
I like it.
Yeah. Then it would legitimately be the struggle bus at that point.
Absolutely. That's what we were going to call this podcast,
Oh,
the struggle
gosh.
bus,
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Not good.
However, I think we got a good one planned today. It's not going to be a real barn burner,
No, don't set the standard that high.
but it is very timely.
Okay.
Actually, that's why we chose it, because it's a timely discussion and one that came as a result of me. Actually, it was during my 25th anniversary that this sort of aha moment happened. And I just really felt like God spoke to me in the midst of it about my life, about people's lives, and how we sort of just cultivate this. I'm trying to avoid using the word
Okay.
because I'm going to belabor the word in a moment and in the forthcoming moments. But I just saw, oh my gosh, this is what we fall into, and this is what we keep at, and this is why we get the results that we do. So do you want me to set the stage?
Please.
Okay. Beck, you ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. So Ruth and I, for our 25th anniversary, we went to the DR, and we went to this place called the Sanctuary.
doctor.
Shout out. Huh?
To the doctor?
Get out of here, Cam.
You're cheesy. You're going to have great dad jokes when you get older.
Can't wait.
DR is the Dominican Republic. Did you know that?
I did. I was just,
Good.
you know.
Nevertheless, we went there, and this is our second time returning to, and we went to a place called the Sanctuary. Shout out to the Sanctuary. case you want to give me free rooms
Oh, geez.
for free nights. Anyway, it was this beautiful all-inclusive resort, and it's a large resort. It's a large sort of, not a lot of kids, adults only, but very classy, very, very cool. So we arrive at, and we were both celebrating my birthday and our anniversary. So it was a twofer. And we get there, and I am very sort of environmentally sensitive, meaning like I gotta feel it. I'm a feeler. Gotta feel the aesthetic. Gotta feel the culture. Gotta feel the where. And then you know, practically speaking, I want to get the lay of the land, so I don't feel like such a foreigner. Like I want to figure out where's where and what's what, who's who. All right. So I'm doing this whole thing internally, of course.
You're walking around with a big map.
Right.
Where are we going?
Right. With like a camera, you know, my socks pulled up.
Hey.
And so, hey, easy. So I'm walking around, and I'm realizing this place is really big. There's like 5 pools, and there's various restaurants, and the whole 9 yards. And so it was soon thereafter that I figured out, okay, this is how this works, and this is, you know, where it is that we're going to spend the lion's share of our time residing. And so that came and went, that initial sort of overwhelmed feeling, and I very quickly, along with Ruth, we got acclimated, and then it was time to leave. So we had stayed there, maybe it was 4 nights, 5 days, something like that. And at this time, we're sitting, and I'm waiting for my Uber to come pick me up to take me to the airport, and I'm now back in the foyer, and I'm seeing all the new people that are coming in. And they're carrying their luggage, and they sit you on a sofa, and they try a little bit, you know, from the onset, try to upgrade you. You know what I mean? You know, concierge comes out and sits down with you, and he's doing his whole thing. And I'm watching these people, and I'm watching particularly the men, the husbands, the honeymooners, and I'm very sort of understanding them. They're overwhelmed as well. And I realized, almost fell off the chair. I realized quickly that when you arrive at an all-inclusive, you know, you can eat as much as you want, you can drink as much as you want, you can paddleboard as much as you want, you can go as much as you want, and there's no charge. That's all included. That's why they call it an all-inclusive. Nevertheless, what I realized is at the end, all the meals somewhat started to taste the same. Like steak tastes like chicken, and chicken tastes like pasta, and pasta tastes like cereal. I was like, it's sort of your palate does something, and what I quickly understood is an all-inclusive works by way of patterns. Like they sort of sets you on a conveyor belt unknowingly. You think you got free reign, and you do, but you quickly acclimate to a pattern of when you get your pool chair, when you go to lunch or dinner, where you go to get your coffee, and all of these things. And that really, that sustains, you know, efficiency and cost effectiveness and all of that. It's totally cool, totally reasonable. But I realized, though it may have initially felt overwhelming, quickly you just understood this is what you do when you do it, and this is what it will be like. And you fall into it, and what it is it's sort of like a subconscious cognitive groove of you just roll with it day to day, and you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you enjoy it. But it was when I was sitting on that sofa that I realized, all these people here, where initially it may feel overwhelmed or too big, they'll quickly acclimate to the pattern. And right then, Boots, and I'm not saying God speaks to me often or it's always this sort of groundbreaking moment, but for me, I felt like the Lord say, this is exactly what happens in people's lives. That they fall into a pattern or a rut or a cognitive groove. And because they've always done it, they always do it. And then they always reap the same results from it. And it's not until that you realize, as we say around here often, we make choices and then our choices make us. But it wasn't until I saw it that I was sort of reminded of where the Apostle Paul speaks to the church at Rome. And he says this really emphatic sort of plea. He pleads with the church. And he says, I beseech you, brothers and sisters. In English terms, really what that means is I beg you. I beg you by the mercies of God, he says, that you would present your bodies as a living sacrifice unto the Lord, which is your reasonable act of worship. In light of what God has given, he said, the best response or the only reasonable response for his sacrifice, his atonement, his love, his affection toward you is that you give all of yourself to him. And then he goes on to say this, and no longer be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That word patterns there, many times we infer that it's immoral. But what if we were to sort of shift our perspective to realize there are certain things the world does that doesn't have a sort of immoral connection. They just lead to places that never satisfy your soul. We quickly adopt them because we look at them through the metric or the scale of, is it immoral or is it not? And if it's not, then we should do it. And we stay in it, always reaping the same results from it. So, all right, that was my aha moment. Okay, let's bring this down to simplicity.
Yeah.
What I want to propose is that, like right now, this is the beginning of September. I know, along with everybody else, most certainly the moms and dads out there, we are quickly going to step into a new pattern. New pattern of, you got to get your kids ready for school, you got to do preparation before bedtime, you got to make sure they're up early, you got to make sure that you get all the things in order, set them up for success. Working, moms and dads, everything sort of begins to shift by way of schedule and this and this and that. And right now it feels really overwhelming, but the reality is we're going to calibrate really, really fast. My question is what we're going to calibrate to leading to life and joy and peace and harmony, or is what we're going to calibrate to going to only increase chaos, anxiety, fury, and rate of pace? And what I think is that the way the world does the world, the pattern is fundamentally broken. I think that we have been sold a bill of goods to think this is just the way you got to do it. And so we always do it. And yet everybody's anxious because of it. And so let me get really specific. Number one, like I want to read a couple stats about like the American family or American couples or what have you. On average, Americans spend about an hour a day in their car. About an hour a day. So the average American spends about an hour a day in the car. What you do in that car, be that you likely have to spend an hour a day going to and fro, picking up kids, going to work, running to the grocery store, what have you. Many times we preoccupy ourselves in the car. That's a pattern.
Listening to Simplexity.
And you don't want to break that pattern.
No, don't.
That is a godly pattern. But what you do in the car typically is a pattern. Subconsciously, you either reach for the radio, you turn on a podcast, you make phone calls, you do busy work because you think you have to, when in fact that hour is your hour. That's your hour. You got to be in that car. So what you build as a pattern in that car really does reap what you feel internally. I'm convinced of that. Why do we just have to? Some people have never even thought of that. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't until I started to ask Beck, okay, Beck, let's start, and you, of course.
What's your go-to in the car?
I like complete silence.
Do you?
I like to think. Now that's a new pattern for me.
You had to shift into
I feel
that.
like you're always on the phone.
Yeah, hey, or I call Beck but you know what? I call Beck after I thought of a really dumb idea. And then I'm like, hey, what about this? So I have really started to like, it came as a result of me. One time I was super, super stressed and I was just in the car and I realized I drove all the way home and I didn't turn anything on. That's a good telltale for me. If I'm if I don't turn the radio on or do something, that's because I was really preoccupied. You know what I mean? And then I got there and I was like, man, that song that I've been meaning to listen to, I didn't even turn that on. That's because I was jammed.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I realized sitting in my driveway, that was really cathartic. Like that was therapeutic. And so I just adopted, I'm gonna start doing that. So more and more, I like to just drive in silence. And I like to pray, and I like to think about how I feel.
Yeah.
So that's
Scratch that
weird.
last one.
No, but I
okay?
really like to. I like to get a bead on what's going on inside of me, and that helps me then sort of do the work.
Yeah, because you can't do that if you're constantly being distracted.
100%. Only 23% of American families, sit down. Now this is going to sound like, oh well, that was a hard left. They sit down and have dinner together at night. Isn't that crazy? For me, when I was brought up, I mean, it was 5 p.m. We knew we got to get home. If we were playing, if we were running, if I was out, going somewhere, I had to be home at 5. Why?
Yeah.
Because that was dinner time. And mom and dad were both in the kitchen, and then they both sat down, and it was like, all right, this is what we do. Yeah. So much is forged, and so that's a pattern that we've made our kids adhere to. They don't love it. That's for daggone sure. They don't love it, but they do it. And that's where I believe a lot of discipleship happens. A lot of truth is exposed. A lot of lies are dispelled. A lot of conversations are had. And let me tell you something. It's hard work, because I'd like to choke somebody out and throat punch somebody many a night because of what happens around that dinner table. They start fighting and they start carrying on, and he brought up this and then he made a snide comment, yada, 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 on and on and on. But that's life. But the pattern, the seat that all that sits in is we sit down at 5 o'clock for at minimum a half an hour. I understand we got practices and we got to go, but that half an hour is pretty sacred to us. That's a pattern.
It's just what you do.
It's what we do.
What is I know this isn't exactly supporting your overall
Yeah.
topic, but what is your roadmap for those dinners look like? As far as facilitating those conversations?
Ruth is a road mapper.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, she's got expectations and curriculums. Meaning, she sits down and it's like...
And then everyone's given a grade.
Yep, okay. Ruth used to do... Ruth has left the dinner table and many a night crying. Aww. Because those kids are so trifling. Nevertheless, because they got so much of me in them. But Ruth used to like to sit down and go, okay, give me 3 highlights of your day. We got about half of one out before an argument broke out or something cynical was said. And so then she just changed it up and said, just give me the favorite part of your day. And then, so Ruth would do stuff like that.
Backtrack from 3. Let's just do 1, guys.
What didn't
We're working on gratitude
I think
here.
right now we're at what didn't you hate about your day?
Exactly.
So that was Ruth. So now we'll do things like, all right, tell me, because this elicits more quick conversation. Tell me about the drama in the club today.
jeez.
And that's good. What
That
happened
opens
at
it up.
school? What'd you hear? We try at our best to avoid, any gossip or critical about, but it does get the conversation going. Tell me, what was drama today?
What's the tea?
But what's the T?
Yeah.
Those Gen Zers out there. That's a pattern. All right, let me give you another one.
Okay.
All right, here's another one. And then we're gonna. Okay. 44% of evangelicals in America, so this is 4 out of 10, spend quality time having quiet time. Okay, so that's intentional quiet time. So that's a devotional.
Like ever?
Huh?
Ever?
Ever. This is daily.
Oh, daily.
Daily.
44. That's pretty high.
I thought that was good.
Yeah.
That didn't discourage me. 21% do it more than once a day. Come on.
That's your pastors and your,
Super spiritual leaders and
that's your Pastor Sammy.
so that's a pattern. That is a pattern. Now I'm going to argue that for a Jesus following believer, a pattern in your life that must be built is spending time with your maker. Being in his word, listening for his voice, praying and telling him about how you feel, what you're grateful for, what you need, but that is a non-negotiable pattern. Okay. Now that's for our Jesus followers out there. The average American, here's another pattern we fall into. The average American spends nearly 4 hours a day thinking about money.
Ooh.
Yep.
Holy moly.
Connor, do you think about money 4 hours a day? Yep.
It's like a quarter of your day, right?
I mean, that's a big portion of your day thinking about money. Now, I'm not here to I'm not taking a shot at that because I think about finances a lot. How much are we spending? What do we have? What will I do? How much will that cost? It's the culture in which we live, but it's a pattern. It's a pattern that either can create a degree of comfort or real anxiety. Nevertheless, it's a pattern. And I'm using these to sort of, just sort of spotlight, this is what we do.
Yeah. I think that's the phrase that sticks out to me is that's just what we do.
It's what we do.
That's just how it works.
Absolutely.
And it's asking, well, should it or does it have to?
As we say often, you can't defeat what you don't define, so you got to define what you do. What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing that is very much what the world does or different from the world that's creating certain outcomes? Much like the reason that I bring up, the sanctuary or the all-inclusive is it was in that moment that I realized I don't want to just fall in the pattern set before me. I want to set my pattern. And as a follower of Jesus, I'm called to set that pattern. The question is whether or not I do it.
Yeah.
Or do I just adopt, as you just said so rightly, this is just what we do.
Yeah, and I like the framing of it with you using the sanctuary as the example because, you had mentioned all the newcomers, they come into the foyer, as you say, and it's overwhelming because there are so many options. There's so many things you could do.
Absolutely.
And so I think when a pattern is presented as the alternative to a sense of overwhelmedness and a sense of you either follow this pattern or you have the uphill climb of figuring it out on your own.
Totally.
And I think people most of the time look at the pattern that's already established and they're like, well, I would rather not feel so overwhelmed, and I'd rather not have to make so many decisions or figure all of this out. Let's just go with, where are they going? Let's just follow them.
Yep.
So I think it makes perfect sense.
I hear you. All right, let me give you another pattern. The average American parent
Okay.
speaks to their children 2,150 words an hour. Okay, now,
Let's translate that.
yep, that's about 14 minutes an hour. That would arrive you at 168 minutes a day. Okay?
How many hours? 2.8?
2.8.
2.8. I'm really good at math.
Beck's over there going.
She has an abacus.
I forgot I have a mic all of a sudden.
I know.
Sorry.
Talk.
2.8 hours.
Yeah.
2.8 hours a day. Okay. All right.
Which seems like a lot.
Actually, and just an interesting sort of little side is that 2,150 words is the average American family, but the average American family or parent that's on welfare only speaks 620 words. That's
Okay.
because they're thinking about money
Yeah.
more than 4 hours a day. So the poorer you are, the less you talk. Here's the deal. Compare that to 2,150 compared to the amount of time spent on devices or spent preoccupying yourself with either distractions, entertainment, media, or the like. It's a direct sort of connection to sometimes the relationships that we have are a result of the patterns that we keep. Come on, somebody.
That's good.
Come on, somebody. Okay, and I'm going to give you one last one, and then we're going to turn the page.
Okay, literally.
This is the amount of time we spend either alone or sitting in quiet. Now, not to really plug my book, but you know I like to do that. In Mind Your Business, I wrote about this, speaking about the amount of time that we really cherish the quiet or we spend in solitude. But a U.S. survey conducted in 2025, respondents reported 9.5 hours of alone time per month. That's just over 2 hours per week, or 17 minutes per day.
That is wild to me.
On average. What is wild about it?
That you have on average 17 minutes of alone time
Yep.
per day.
Yes.
I mean, is that not including car rides? I mean, not that you would know the
New
answer
York
to that,
Post
but
did not specify that. More than half of Americans, 56%, consider alone time critical to their mental well-being.
I would agree.
Okay.
Clearly
So
it's not, though, if you're carving out 17 minutes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think it's something that we aspire to. It's something that we believe the potential of would prove really positive and promising. The issue is that as we now head into the fall, why is this timely for right now? Because I feel that this season, if you will, is a really wonderful stopgap to just step back and go, I don't really want to consider my practical, which and holistic lifestyle patterns of what I do with my body, what I do with my time, what I do and how I nurture my spirit, all of that, you get to determine your patterns. Now, some people, my kids, whom I love dearly, it is my heart to create for them, fundamental patterns that would produce their well-being. But as adults, we are solely responsible for our patterns, and our patterns are either what lead to really rich, holistic well-being, or our patterns are what create so much of the anxiety, the stress, and the bad, rapid choices that we make. I say to my daughter often, when, she's 18 now, or will be, actually, she will be Wednesday.
Oh.
Wednesday. Nevertheless, I encourage her, it's not about seeing in people their potential. as the drawing card for, what they might become or who they could be. Really, potential is beautiful, but potential is realized by patterns. Patterns. So I want you to look at patterns. I want you to look at lifestyle. I want to see how they, everything from work ethic to how they walk in the fear of God, to how they treat you, to how they respect older people. What are the patterns and the benchmarks in their life that are kept consistently? As Craig Rochelle often says, successful people do consistently what others do occasionally.
Yeah.
And so consistency is about patterns. So here's the best place that I think we should consider, what then, if I want to reevaluate my patterns and I want to create new patterns, who then do I look at? And I would say you need to look no further than Jesus. Now, I know that sounds, sort of lofty, but it's not as abstract as we think, because Jesus kept to certain patterns, and he came as an example of do life like this.
Yeah.
I created you. I know what works for you. But don't conform to the patterns of the world, but be transformed by a new evaluation of patterns. And so, do you know any patterns that Jesus kept? I would hope so, or this is going to be a really downer of a podcast.
Yeah, I know. I do, and definitely want to chat about those.
Please.
While you were speaking, it reminded me of this quote. I don't know who it's attributed to, but, and I'm sure you've heard this before, it says, every system is perfectly designed to get the result it gets.
That's Andy Stanley.
Andy Stanley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Read that one more time.
Every system is perfectly designed to get the result it gets, or every
That
pattern.
could be John Maxwell.
Yeah, I think it. I'm sure.
Fact check that,
I'm
please.
sure other people have said it as well.
Yes.
But that's what I'm thinking about. Is like, okay, if you want to evaluate the results that you're getting,
Absolutely.
evaluate the patterns that you have cultivated, or not even intentionally, but passively cultivated, or looked to how other people do things, and then you've started to do the same. So yeah, I think about that, and I also think about this time of year.
Yes.
Because I don't know about you, but I love summer. But it's so, at least for me this summer, it was so chock full of unpredictability in that, like, and this is a thing that's great about summer is you can do spontaneous, weekend trips to the beach or whatever. And those are so fun, but there's something within me that's like craving getting to the fall where it's like, okay, let's get back to rhythms and routines and patterns, because I think we all crave pattern.
I think we do.
Because it reduces the mental workload that the brain has to do. The brain prefers to not have to constantly make decisions. So if there's a pattern, you don't have to make the decision. You just have to walk that way.
Amen.
And so to your point, looking at Jesus as the one to set our trajectory, or to walk this way.
Absolutely.
It reduces the brain difficulty of, okay, what do I do here? How do I handle this situation? All that stuff. But it also it ultimately leads us to life and life to the full.
I think you make a really, really good point that really sort of surmises all of it. And that is that patterns, and I didn't think about this, but patterns are really the way that you align your mental, emotional, and spiritual self to God. Or your patterns bifurcate and create chaos mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I think when you look at the life of Jesus, or you look at a life of someone that's really peaceful, let's just take that practical ethos, really peaceful, it is directly connected to the patterns they keep.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody's craving.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, everybody says, hey, I want to be a millionaire. What really we connect the millions to is that'll give me peace. I want to be able to do this. Why? Because that will give me peace.
Yeah.
And peace and joy are interconnected a little bit, but what we aspire toward is I want peace. The problem is the patterns we keep create everything other than that.
Yeah, we want the result.
Yes.
Whether that's the peace or whether that's the healthy body.
Absolutely.
But we don't want the pattern that gets you there. So you don't want the, focusing more on what you're grateful for, or letting things roll off your back, or
Absolutely.
The discipline that it takes to get to X, Y, and Z. We crave the result, but when we see the pattern, we're like,
Yeah.
I like this pattern better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't lead where we want to go.
Totally. I'd like the to circumvent the discipline, the hardship, and just is there a quick fix to that?
Yeah.
No.
Shortcut pattern?
Absolutely. And so just a shortcut pattern. And so I really do think that's the way to look at it. Patterns create the mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being in someone, or they create mental, emotional, and spiritual chaos in someone. And so the world does what is really chaotic. It just lives at a fury.
Yeah.
It knows that it needs to spend alone time, but we only do it 17 minutes, a day. We know that we need mental and emotional respite, but yet we're fixated on our phone. We know that we need to nurture our relationship with our kids, but we're just moving too fast and there's too much stuff to do. We know that we need to be in worship on weekends because we really do feel different spending time hearing truth wash over us or giving worship to God. We feel like we're able to leave things at the altar and pick up encouragement, but we allowed things to crowd our Sunday mornings. We know all the things, but either you create patterns or the world will create patterns for you, just like the sanctuary. And so really, really quickly, isn't it crazy that the maker of heaven and earth, as his foremost pattern, spent a lion's share, or whether it's in the morning or in the evening, in solitude? That screams at me before I just adopt the Christian sort of browbeating. Oh, you should be doing devotionals. No, but before all of that, that is because the God of heaven and earth modeled it by example because he needed it. How much more do we? But life will create a pattern that will work you bell to bell to where you're climbing into bed, chocked full of thoughts, having to carry all of them when the God of heaven and earth says, why don't you give them to me? Why don't you spend time in my presence and let me nurture and fill you? That's a pattern.
Yeah.
That's a pattern that you got to create. Another pattern that Jesus constantly kept to, he was constantly talking and thinking about the kingdom of God. That's a whole mental shift, that he was eyes wide open everywhere he went and every conversation he was in. And whether he spoke to it or not, it was a scope that was thinking, where is the kingdom of God at work? That's why he said, I only do what my Father instructs me to do. And so how much of our thoughts are just a pattern of self, of like, there's another pattern that I didn't read, but it's the amount of time Americans spend on Amazon, just thinking about, what I want to get, what I need, what an upgrade would be, what would make me,
I need another water bottle.
Where's my Stanley? All of this type of stuff. But yet, when you really create a pattern of, I want to see where God's working. I want to listen for his voice. I want to see what's happening in the midst of this conversation that might have a spiritual direction. Man, that makes life rich. It really does make...
You're playing on offense instead of defense.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. My mother-in-law, whom I am so blessed I am a blessed, blessed man by my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. She tells me this story the other day that she had this Airbnb that she sold in Severna Park. Long story short, she put on there that she was selling she put on Facebook Marketplace, she was selling a ping pong table. So this young kid called her, and he was a college student, and he called her, and she put it on there for $75. He said, "Would you take $50?" She said, "Absolutely. I just need it gone." So he arrives there, and he's with two of his friends that came to pick it up with him. And she said, as I saw him, these three young, strapping college students get out of this pickup truck, and she said they were handsome and they were well-spoken. And she said that immediately I just started praying, "Lord, give me an inroad that I might tell them about you." I thought, now understand this about Margarita. That's a pattern.
Yeah.
That wasn't just a spontaneous one-off. That is her pattern. Why? Because she is constantly thinking about how to be a bright light. That's her MO. So they loaded up, and God, she said she just heard the Lord real clearly say to him, "Give it to him, and don't take any money." And so they loaded up in the pickup truck, and she says, "Hey, I just want you to know, this is this is a gift, and this is because God loves you that much that He just wanted you to know He's proud of you." And this kid lights up, and she said, "Hey, where do you go to school?" He said, "I go to school in Catonsville." He's part of the baseball team. And she said, "If you ever would like, I'd love to have you as a guest at church with me."
Huh.
Yep. So he goes, "I would like that. I would like that." Well, kid picked it up on a Tuesday. Wednesday, mom went to send him a text. And as she went on, Facebook Messenger, when you hit sold, it deletes all the messages. So she lost his contact. So she just started praying, "Lord, if that was a divine moment, I would ask for you to reconnect it." Lo and behold, this kid on Friday messages her and says, "Hey, I want to take you up on that offer."
Wow.
And she said that, so she heard God at the house, they give it to him. She sees God answer her prayer, because now he's reached out to her. And she then goes, "Hey," writes him back and says, "I would love to have you as my guest." She said, "How many seats should I reserve?" He said 6.
Whoa.
He goes, "I'm bringing my whole house, the whole house of all these baseball players that are for all out of state, yada, yada, yada." She said, "Roger that." They all show up on Sunday. They're all sitting there. And she says, as they're sitting there, God says to her, "Invite them over for brunch."
Oh.
I mean, she's got a full-on bat phone thing going on here. God's just talking, giving direction. She's answering. She leans down and says, "Hey, would y'all like to come over and Jay and I prepare brunch for you, home-cooked meal?" They said, "Absolutely."
Oh.
She rallies them all around in the backyard. They're sitting around the picnic table having their brunch. And she said she got to tell them her testimony, explain to them the gospel, and they all say, "We want to keep coming back to church."
Oh my gosh.
Now, it's a beautiful, beautiful story. I bring that up because that is a pattern in my mother-in-law's life. I see that happen with her all the time. And she is a rich woman. She's rich in God. She is joy-filled. She's grateful. She loves Jesus. Every time I walk into her home, the first thing I feel is peace. I tell her all the time, "Mom, this is the most peaceful home I know of." I don't like her aesthetic at all. I don't like how she does it. Nevertheless, that environment is so rich with the presence of God. Why? It's directly connected to the pattern she keeps. And that's what everybody's aspiring for. She will shut her schedule down in a heartbeat if she gets overwhelmed with saying yes to things that takes her away from Jesus. Yeah. In a heartbeat. She likes spending time in his presence. She likes dating Jay. She likes keeping it simple. It's an incredible thing, but that's a pattern, and she's constantly thinking about the kingdom of God. So solitude is number two. Jesus was constantly thinking and espousing and speaking of the kingdom of God, and he was constantly in community, encouraging and exemplifying compassion, which means it's counter to the culture we live in because so much of our pattern is selfish. It's self-absorbed, it's self-serving, it's self-us. He spent his life as a pattern pouring out. That's why he had to go back into solitude to get filled back up.
Yeah.
It's the pattern of, so I'm just going to give those three. That's it.
Yeah.
That's enough. That takes a lifetime to work on.
That's enough homework for now.
Amen.
No, and I think about even in the story with Margarita, how many of us, me certainly, that first prompt to
Come on.
give them the ping pong table for free.
What's $50?
Maybe I didn't hear that right.
Right.
I'll take the $50.
Absolutely.
But then it's like you look at the rest of the story, you missed out on all of that because you didn't take that first step in the pattern.
Amen.
So I hear you on all three of those. Maybe in a short framing, what would your encouragement be to those who would say, okay, stepping into fall, got the new schedule, got the kids, got the sports, this, that. I want to foster a new pattern. Where do I start? What do I do?
Wonderful.
Specifically, practically.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna walk the staff through this. And I gave the staff homework as it pertains to this subject right here. Nevertheless, Paul says, I beg you, present your bodies as a living sacrifice, and do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Means you got to see it different. You got to see it different. You got to think about it different. You got to understand different. You have to start by going, and this is going to take just you being alone, and maybe having your closest counterpart that sees you, knows you, and watches you, for you to first start by going, what are my patterns? What are my lifestyle patterns that I've always done because I've always done? Mm-hmm. And then ask yourself, do these lead to me loving Jesus more, having more peace, being more fruitful, and having life to the full? Maybe they are. Mm-hmm. Maybe they are. Maybe you're crushing it and you are disciplined and you've oriented your patterns to your well-being and for you to glorify God. But maybe you haven't. Can't defeat what you don't define. So then determine, what am I going to put in place as a new pattern to get a new result? Mm-hmm. And it's not about potential. My God. It's not about just, well, if I did that, I would get that, and you leave it at that. Mm-hmm. That's what everybody does. If I go to the gym, I'm going to be healthy. Well, get healthy. If I really spend time with Jesus, I'm going to be spiritually built up. Spend time with Jesus. So not just the potential, but what is the pattern? If the pattern doesn't change, the potential never will. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's all.
All righty. Well, I feel like that's a good way to start off the season. What's our?
That was a real barn burner.
We've got a new pattern for this season. We've got a new set.
New pattern.
A new philosophy as far as guests go. We have a new pattern of when we release episodes.
That's right.
It's not going to be every week anymore, but they are going to be higher quality. Maybe. I don't know. Can't promise that.
No, I can't.
But yeah, it's good to be back.
But there is potential.
There's a lot of potential.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for bearing with us during a little bit of a longer break, but we're definitely glad to be back. And go ahead and follow us on social media or Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts.
Love you guys.